My job is being kind of like a traffic controller, an air traffic controller for news. Kind of go through the news and sit there and say, okay, this is important. This is important. This is ready for takeoff. This isn't. This is critical. This is not. This is stupid. This is a waste of time. And I do not want to necessarily be the person who repeats the same thing that everybody else is saying just because it's one of those topics. And I know commercially that's not the way to be. Commercially, you always have to say whatever it is that somebody's talking about, even though it's been said a million times, and I can't do it. And commercially, in terms of looking at this as a commercial venture, I can't do it. I can't do it because it is so monumentally horrid. I say this again, it is monumentally horrid to do this. But I want to talk about something which is very, very critical today. I want to talk about this fellow named Jesse Waters and how I think this is so interesting because they are, if you believe anything that the Daily Mail says, people are clamoring for his release and his removal. And it's a show I do not watch. I don't mean anything against him. I don't. It doesn't matter whether I like or what. I don't watch his show, but I'm standing up for him 100% only because this is America, and I hate the fire him scrums that we hear on a regular basis. So first, my friends, stand by, sit back, and wait for a second as we go through all that is happening right now. Let me tell you, before we go through the beginning of this, I want to explain a few things to you. First and foremost, I want you to know that we are proud to be sponsored by you, of course, and this wonderful country that we live in. But first of all, from the great people at mypillow.com. If you go to mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, or mypillow.com/Lionel, by the way, that slash is called a solidus or a virgule, but mypillow.com/Lionel, you'll get a free gift, but you will avail yourself of some of the most incredible, just seemingly endless litany of products, of bath towels and slippers and pillows and bolsters, robes, washcloth, you name it. It is endless. And I ask you to always go and use promo code Lionel and to support our great friends with this incredible product that they have. Also, the response has been absolutely off the charts regarding My Patriot Supply and specifically our website, preparewithlionel.com. This is a bad story. This is always bad. And the reason why it's bad is it's good, obviously, for a great company to do well and to prosper commercially because we are capitalists of the first order. But when you see certain sales go up, it shows a timidity and a fear on the part of people. Very, very scary. When you see ammunition sales go through, when you see gun sales, when you see guard dogs and burglar alarms, that shows great for the industry, but a sense of timorousness and fear and earned fear on the part of the American folks. Let me say this to you right now, my friends, without a doubt. If you, I think we're looking great right now. We'll go through a few things right now. But if Kamala and that idiot get anywhere near this White House, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean it. The gloves will be off because she will be the ultimate empty suit, sock puppet, windsock, who will do whatever they tell her to do without any idea of the reason for it. So there you have it, my friends. There you have it. That simple. Preparewithlionel.com. And more importantly, right now, there is something which is so critical, so great. You have right now a mega 3-month emergency food kit sale right now. Save $300 if you buy today. Preparewithlionel.com. All right. Before we begin, our good friend Brad Rung says, fun fact, 1836, only one sitting vice president, George Herbert Walker Bush, in 1988, has been elected to the White House. Who tried and failed were Richard Nixon in 1960, Hubert Humphrey in 1968, and Al Gore in 2000. All three lost. Interesting. Interesting. That is so interesting. I love that. I love those American facts. And thank you for that, Mr. Rung. Thank you. On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for this. Thank you for saying that teaching is fundamental. Or is it reading? I forget what it is. Anyway, thank you for that. Now, let me talk about something. First and foremost, near and dear to my heart is the notion of free speech. I could give you a list of people that I absolutely despise. People whose ideas I despise, people whose music I despise, people whose looks and sounds and ideas and theories and philosophies I abhor. Do you hear me? Good. Do you know what they all have in common? Do you know what? I don't listen to them. I don't listen to them. Let me say this again. There are people I can, and I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time going through the list. They insult my intelligence. I find them to be absolutely devoid of anything even worthwhile. However, I do not pay any attention to them, and I don't listen to them. That's how I say no. That's how I object. You hear what? You see what I did? I just don't listen. I have a problem with any kind of censorship there is. Brad Rung also says she will be joined by her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, in a joint interview with CNN anchor Dana Bash at 9 p.m. Thursday. Thank you for that plug there, Brad. My kid, of course. It's going to be recorded, and it's going to be a waste of time. You do know that, right? You do know that. Whatever she does, it's a waste of time. She's not going to answer enough. It's going to be void. They're going to give her, they're writing now basically the script for what she will theoretically write. So thank you for this. So let me go through this. I'm a fundamental believer in free speech. I have a very serious problem with wanting to shut down what they're doing to Durov with Telegram and others, because they're claiming this has child sexual abuse material on it, CSAM. Before you are given an excuse, before you are told, well, it's saying something which is wrong, ask yourself, is this an excuse? Is this a condition that they've come up with? And also, do the actual, what am I trying to say? Do the allegations, are they so vague that they cover everything? Okay. Child sexual abuse material. That's what people are saying. We got to shut down Telegram. Why? What about Zuckerberg? What about Twitter? What about whatever? Well, that's different. Is it because the fact that maybe Zuckerberg sells his data and that's why he's off the hook? And Durov is? I don't know, but we'll get to that later. So there's a fellow named Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters was on TV the other day. And again, if you like him, great. If not, don't watch him. Do what I do. I don't watch him. He's imbecilic, but that's okay. It's far be it from me to decide what is and what. Now listen to me carefully. This was what was said, and this is what he said, which now everybody is clamoring to get him fired from because of his stepping over the line. Now, let me ask you specifically, what do you think about this specifically? Does this warrant? See if you can find out what's wrong with what he said first.
This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse Waters.
Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with her. Control her. not in a sexual way. You now.
Do you think he should be fired for that? Do you think he should be fired for that? And don't just give me a real serious, and please try to be as full throated rather than yes, no, yes, no. Should he be fired? Did he do anything wrong? 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 First question. Did he do anything wrong? First of all, this is stupid because promoted now. No. Listen, do me a favor. I love you, man. Comedy is an art. Not everybody has it. And you might want to just wait a little bit before you just respond. Just think about what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. I understand. Okay? I understand. And I appreciate it. Remember, it's a free country, but so many of you great people it's logorrhea. Think about what you're saying. Think 5 seconds and then write something. That's all. Zlega says the perfect arrest video, ID refusal, I know my rights, smash window, tased or maced, removed from car, handcuffed, phone forcibly removed, the wrap, spit mask, helmet. Could not too legit. I'm sorry, I thought that was a Z. You are absolutely correct. That is my favorite. Just a regular traffic stop, not even anything. I know my rights, or I'm not going to roll down the window. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm on my phone. I'm calling my mother. Thank you. I know we're changing the subject, but this is my new passion. Thank you. I'm on the phone now. La la la. You're making me feel uncomfortable. You're a man. I have anxiety. Go away. Absolutely. You're go away. Go away. And then he says, give me your ID. I don't have to give you my ID. Roll down the window. Or sometimes a cop will put his arm in there and they'll roll the window up and get his arm caught. And he'll say, if you don't lower the window open, I'm going to break it. I'm going to break it. If you don't, I'm going to break it. Okay, then he takes out his wand, bang, breaks the door, yanks her out. She goes crazy. They cuff him. They take the phone. They have this thing called this wrap. They put people in. They cover they cross their legs so they can be carried like a cord of wood. It's beautiful. Then, of course, the spit mask, which is talk about ignominious. The mask is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you for that so much. He should sit in the audience for 6 months. Okay, this is whatever. Now, let's go back to this. I had to share it, but thank you for that. Let's watch it again. Tell me what he said that was that wrong. Tell me what he said that was that wrong. Tell me the big deal here. I'm sorry.
This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse,
whoa, Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way. You're now.
First, remember when Janine Pirro came out one night loaded out of her mind? Or seemingly, she had something in her hair. This was like during the time of COVID. I don't know. It was probably some of her best work ever. She says, look, again, it's a free country. Who cares whether they're smart or good or not? It doesn't really matter. The point is, do not fire him. He said nothing. Evan Webb says, I use Discord for one game I play and other communications. My friend heard one report in it having bad content. This is a very closed, private fee and pay site. If this is bad, then all are bad. My friend, let me ask you a question. As to this, by the way, we're going back and forth from Jesse to your comments, which is terrific. I have no problem with that. I've said this before, and I'm going to say this again. I was one of the few prosecutors who remembers actually prosecuting obscene phone calls. Now, you can ask your parents about this. People have no idea what that even means. What do you mean an obscene phone call? And it was really tough. It was an evidentiary nightmare. It was great training, because you would have to have somebody from the phone company would come. Somebody from the phone company would show up. You would say, you would have to keep a diary at home. And you would say, at 8:48 on August the 28th p.m., I got this. Boom. And he said this, and this. You submit it. We had GTE at the time, General Telephone. You would go to their security office. They would do a pin or a pen register. They would find out what calls came in at 8:48. It would be this number from that. You would have to go into court. This person would say, I don't care what number this came from. There's a lot of people in my house. They could have called you versus I live by myself, and you had to have, it was great for a new trial lawyer because you had all this document evidence. You had to bring in the custodian of records. You had to bring in somebody from the phone company. You had to introduce it. I mean, it was really complicated. And at best, you would say, okay, this phone number made a call at that time. This phone company, this phone, whatever. Now, I used to always ask, using this logic, why don't we prosecute the phone company? Alice Fava says what he said was offensive, and that smirk, total lack of judgment for someone in his position. Looks like an idiot, but fire, no. Alice could not have said it better myself. I'm going to go a step further. Now, please understand something. This is the way we do it here with Uncle Lenny. Folks, if you're brand new to this, I'm going to go to Jesse, to this, to maybe Telegram, to this. So get ready. Get ready. It may be a sentence here, a sentence here. I may talk about 5 different subjects at the same time. I'm just wondering whether you are able to handle it, okay? Okay. So at the time of these obscene phone calls, I said, why isn't the phone company brought in? The phone company provided the medium. The phone company provided the medium to allow these offensive and hurtful and disgusting phone calls to be made. You would say, that's ridiculous. That's not the phone's fault. Well, why is it Telegram's fault? Why is it Telegram's fault? Why is it their fault that they're producing this stuff? Who's putting this stuff up? That person. During when our friend Hugh Hefner, who believe it or not is one of my heroes because he fought dramatically for sexual rights and sexual freedom and all this other kind of shit. When he was running Playboy and the like, the federal government said he was sending obscene stuff through the mail. By this argument, let's charge the mail. Don't they understand this? You're aiding and abetting this. Do you think the United States Post Office is actually actively pursuing this? Yeah. Well, why is Telegram? That's not to say that CSAM is not important. It is important. That's not to say before that if I say to you, well, why don't we charge the phone company with obscene phone calls? No, that's not to say obscene phone calls aren't a problem. The point is, what is the duty? What is the duty of the person? Are they making money off this? Okay, maybe. Before you shut them down, governments want him shut down. So they are going to use everything in their power to bring this about, up to and including bringing charges of CSAM or introducing it. You've got to be able to weigh, what is the bigger issue here? What is the bigger issue? They don't like these platforms to be able to say, for example, the following. Let's say Hamas or Hezbollah uses Telegram to either convey battle information or intel or whatever it is. And obviously, as you know today, we don't like those people. Those are terrorists, etc., etc. Do you see where we're going with this? Now, back to Jesse. Back to Jesse. First, Janine Pirro and Dana Perino, whoever it is, I can't tell, love to be prudes. They love to act better and higher and classier than you are. They love to be the turd in the punch bowl. They love to be the ones who go, ooh, you're in trouble. George Carlin. You, Uma, you're in trouble. Now you've done it. And then the pack comes out. Then these ghouls, they come out of nowhere. And they want to see him destroyed just because they want to see somebody destroyed. Crypto Domini says the problem is so much crime, WhatsApp and Telegram. Well, again, do they facilitate it or do they provide a medium for which the crime is conveyed? How do you think, my friends, most, I know we're going back to that. Remember, this is going to be tough for somebody. Are we talking about Jesse Waters or are we talking about Telegram? I don't know what he's doing. Get with the program. Let's go back to these programs. How do you think most people receive this WhatsApp business on their cell phone? Probably Apple. Why don't we shut down Apple? Why don't we go and why don't we arrest the Apple phone? The Apple phone and iPads and all these devices are instrumental in making this information available to you. Where does this stop? But it's CSAM, it's children. You're right. Let's go a step further. There was a time when we had the famous case, the Supreme Court case, of the Anarchist Cookbook. And the Anarchist Cookbook basically was a means by which civilians can learn how to make poisons and bombs. Raul Rodriguez says Jesse should have said horizontal mambo. And I like the way you say should have said. That's where the word you hear sounds like it's a homonym, so to speak. It sounds like of, have, not really a homonym. I see this all the time. Should of. Okay. But thank you for that. You're right. Either way, Fox News, if they fire him, why would they fire him? Why would they fire him? And by the way, what if he was sexual? What if what he says was sexual? What if what he says was sexual? So what? If Joy Reid said something about Trump and his phallic girth, they have these. We live in a society where we have sexual preverts and morphodites going into schools, molesting children in terms of what they see visually. Nobody cares about that. Well, I don't care about Jesse Waters. Turn it off. You don't like it, turn it off. Go and watch anything on TV. Go just listen to this. You're telling me that in the year 2024, you're actually theoretically upset by this? Are you really telling me that you're offended by this? No, you're not. You love the scrum because they love when people are caught. And they love when conservatives are caught and made to pay. That's all. This is nothing to this. Most people didn't even watch that. And if they did it, now Megyn Kelly the other day was going on and on and on about Kamala's predilections, sexual and otherwise, regarding what? Regarding her, the whole Willie Brown thing and all that. Is it relevant? I guess. But what about that? Should she have been shut down for that? No. Say it. Yeah, but it was rude. Okay. Say it. Yeah, but you understand. Jesse Waters said something which is of a sexual nature, but okay. And what? Well, Okay, what about it? Do you see what I'm saying to you? So what? Yeah, but he said something that, so what? Big deal. He said it. Now, don't be surprised if Fox News, because these people are spineless, he was part of the old regime. What if one of the Murdoch boys says, and I don't know how that lawsuit's doing with Murdoch and the Sons, but they could say, let's bounce him and get rid of that salary. He violated the terms. This is breach, get rid of him. That's where you want to go because they want to streamline that. This guy's making a fortune. And they go through whether he was having an affair with prior workers. Who cares about that? For the love of God. Who cares anything about that? I don't. I don't in the least. Do you? I don't. I don't know what seriously. I mean this. I'm not trying to be cute here. So what? There's a scrum. They just want to see people fired. And now you have Doug Emhoff, his ex-wife is, oh, come on. Fox News has no guts. What they're doing is they're telling everybody, we want you to be like Hannity. No hits, no runs, no errors. Nothing ever controversial. Nothing ever. Evan Webb says, Judge Janine of the Five seems to rarely know the subject. Finger pointing, she sounds like I Am Perfect time. Maybe. Absolutely. I mean, she's okay. It doesn't, I mean, so what? It's a stupid show. The people that it doesn't matter what I think, but you're right. I think it's so low rent. You want to go through her routine? Do you want to go through her routine? Seriously. Do you know about her and Al Piro? I don't want to go through this. It doesn't matter. The thing which is the most important, my friends, the thing which is so critical, the thing which I want everybody to know is that I want you to join me and stand up and say, please join me in saying, we want to live in a world where people can say whatever they want to say. It is that simple. That simple. We want people to be able to say what they want to say. Don't know. I don't even know how do I say this? I don't even know how to put it into words other than that. It means more to me. And I'm serious. It means more to me to how do I say this? It means more to me to be able to say something and to just tolerate it. Just tolerate it. Just look the other way. I want you to listen to me carefully. I want you to think about this, and I want you to understand something. And I want you to grasp something. I want you to really understand something. We believe in this thing called the Constitution. When somebody gives you an excuse to destroy your way of thinking, you've got to stand up for it. My friends, stop for a second. Do you remember, as you know, I'm just turned 66. So I was born in 58. So like when I was, 10, 11, it was 1969. Square root of 69 is 8 something. And they tried this. What do you remember when they wanted to ban? They wanted to ban, at one particular point, Jim Morrison, Lizard King. They wanted to ban Wake Up, this is before my time, Wake Up Little Susie, the Everly Brothers, because they talked about cohabiting. Wake up, little Susie. They're sleeping together. She fell asleep at a drive-in. Sinatra, they wanted to ban because he was so sexy. Elvis, the pelvis. They were saying that Alice Cooper, beheadings, suicide, hanging, all this stuff goes on. Anarchist cookbook, books, that instructions that showed you here's how you make a bomb. Do you remember? There was a group called Paladin Press. George Hayduke had a book called Up Yours. No, it was Get Even To, and Up Yours. It was the greatest revenge tactics anybody has ever seen in your life. Unbelievable. Okay? Seriously, bro. Seriously. Okay? Seriously. It was the most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. Honestly. It was, I don't even want to tell you now. I don't even want to tell you now because I don't want to, how do I say this? I don't want to give you the idea that maybe you might, you might be thinking of something. Okay. Now, I live in a world and you live in a world where we have to understand this and we have to grasp this notion that you're going to see things that are terrible. You're going to see things that are terrible. And the biggest problem that we have specifically is when you deal with children. And the reason for that is simply this. This is the only form of documentation where the sale and the trafficking of the documentation has its own currency and lends itself to a particular degree of victimization. What do I mean by this? It means this. I can go and I can take pictures of armed robberies. I don't even know sometimes. There was a wonderful a movie years ago called, oh dear God. Oh, it was called Man Bites Dog or something. And it was I think it was French foreign. It was this fellow who went and he wanted to categorize to catalog people buying it was a serial killer. I can't speak for some reason. It was a serial killer. And he went from home to home and he said, I want to do this. And he said, I want to go along with you. I want to film you. He didn't really, this is the film, of course. He didn't really assist, but you could say aid, abet, counsel, procure, hire, encourage, whatever. And a couple of times he went with a serial killer and he would show how to do it. Anyway, what if I went and I would record armed robberies and I sell armed robberies? I have a website where I say, these are armed robberies. You can't get me. You can't charge me for trafficking in armed robberies. If I have, ring phones and there's people burglarizing and I'm recording it and I put it on a website. These are all these burglaries. I'm recording a crime. And they say, well, that's your First Amendment right. Well, when you victimize children, you're recording it. But that recordation, that uploading, in addition to the crime, is a source of the shame and the victimization also. And it leads to more of this behavior so that people can do the awful nefarious act, record it, and then traffic in it. Nobody, the number of armed robberies are not going to go up because somebody wants to be on somebody's Ring camera. It doesn't work that way. So CSAM is this weird thing. There is no freedom of speech. There is no freedom. There's no, it's the mere possession of it. And if you were to possess, and what constitutes CSAM? Remember that movie? Did you ever see the movie with it was a Natalie Portman and Jean, what we call The Professional? Remember that one? That was the sickest thing I have ever seen, ever. ever. But there was nothing obvious per se. What I say, this is the difference between me and everybody else. Wait a minute, hold it and stop. Do not be in the position where the first thing you want to do is shut something down. Because we love to ban. And before you shut down, whether it's Telegram or WhatsApp or YouTube or whatever, because somebody somewhere is using that as a platform to promote CSAM, wait. Ask yourself, you're going to be amputating somebody's ability to speak freely. Granted, if you shut down Telegram, you're going to get rid of CSAM. You're also going to get rid of jokes and music and thoughts and ideas. That's the problem. Brad Rung says, freedom. Ah, que mala slogan. What a joke. Oh, yeah, freedom. Remember that? Anyway, now, this is the problem that we have to address. And by the way, Brad, you're a maniac. You are a maniac, okay? An absolute maniac. And I mean that sincerely, okay? This is the most important thing in the world for you to understand. You need to grasp. Now, let us also move to what's also happening. How is Trump doing? What effect do you think yesterday's superseding indictment have on the president? What effect do you think that has on the various goings on? What effect do you think that has? Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you yet again, what effect do you think that has? What will happen to him? Now, I don't think he's going to turn himself in. He already has been. They'll continue him on whatever bond or whatever term it is. It's just, I don't think he would have to go ahead and another mugshot, another whatever. I don't believe so, because it's superseding. Basically, it's the same indictment, but fine-tuned. And also, he's just being I mean, let's face it. But what effect do you think it's going to have? Brimmy Bean says nada. Don says it's a potential trap if he wins. I want to know what you're saying. What was the secret password? I have no idea what this man is saying, but I'm digging what you're saying. Lizzie Solak says, here we go again. Absolutely. This was the thing which is the most important. Purblind says Trump will win. Well, I mean, I nobody understands this. Do you think you're going to put him in jail? More of this. LOL. What does this mean? I want to know. John, I really want to know. Johnny, but I don't understand. But that's okay. Speak your mind. Speak. You know, opinion is a craft. I like it. A lot of fun. Look at this. Per Blood says it means Trump's polls will go up. It does. It already has been. It absolutely has. Our good friend Mio Dell says, on free speech, best interview I've ever seen is RFK Jr. and Tucker. Brilliant. Two incredible minds and two great patriots. Spellbinding. I learned a lot. Well, I'll tell you the truth. And this is the most important, and Mio, and I appreciate that. Anybody who even begins, anybody who even suggests, anybody who even for a moment claims to talk about free speech is missing the point, because there should be free speech. Let me ask you something. Here we go again. What is he talking about? I have no idea. He's just throwing things out there. I love you, Johnny. He's just throwing it. Dryer lent on fire. Square root of 11. Alpha Tango Niner. Bad scene. Mama swung pretty good. LOL. By the way, that was a promo from the Mod Squad. Remember that? Clarence Williams, Peggy Lipton, and Michael, whatever he goes. Bad scene. Mama swung pretty good. All right. I have no idea what he's writing, but I love this. It's fascinating. Edie Crowley says he will always be damned if he does and canned if he doesn't. Ooh, little play on words. Very punny. Going to put you in the penitentiary. Darlene said, look at this. It didn't drop the standings. People have gotten to the point where they don't give a rat's you know what. A rat's, a rat's, you don't mean ass, do you? No, I can't mean that. Darlene would ever say that. You don't know. Of course, a rat's arse. Michael Cole, thank you. Pete Congren, again, what is this? Here's a go. I want to party from Pisces to Aquarius. What the hell is this man talking about? I love it. It's like Erwin Corey meets Moondog, meets Sun Ra, meets Thelonious Monk, meets I don't know what. Where else can you, where again? Look at this. The Patoot. A Patoot. I love that. The great Lon Chaney. The Patoot. I think Max Schreck was the scariest picture of them all. So anyway, so what does this mean? Nothing. Now, here is the best. This is listen to this, okay? I want you to react to this. I'm going to put you, I want to take you. I'm going to take Brett. I may take Tom O.B., okay? John is a wacko like me. John's onto something here. John is something. I'm digging the whole thing. It's like Erwin Corey. I think it's Sun Ra. Wild Gaga time. In any event, dear friends, lest I forget, let me bring this up. I want you to imagine we're going to put you in, and I'm going to hook you up, and I'm going to give you a sphygmomanometer, a blood pressure cup, respirator, kind of like I would if you were to be in a lie detector polygraph, right? Many graphs, and put you there. Even a plethysmograph to determine turgidity, to find that if you, men in particular, become sexually excited by this. And I'm going to put you in, I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to say, okay, what do you think about the following? In California, they are thinking of providing up to $150,000 for down payment or payment, whatever status, for first-time homeowners who are illegal immigrants. What do you think? Come on. What do you think? How about that one? Come on, Johnny. Johnny says, I have no knowledge. Standing on shoulders of giants. Thank you. And speaking in caps with extended ellipses. Thank you so much. By the way, let's do something. Let's just pull a Johnny right now, okay? Let's say Johnny Ball Game. Let's say somebody tunes in right this moment. I want everybody to. I had a guy named Gene. What was his name? Oh God, he was a comic. He used to be in St. Pete Beach. Oh dear God, Gene. Anyway, he had this thing where this couple went to he said the next people that walk in to the club, everybody stand up, flip them off, and yell, "Get the hell out of here!" One of the funniest things with this, which this happened to be this very kind of Asian couple, kind of middle-aged, older, I don't know. They walked in and they weren't really sure. And he turns around and everybody says, flip up and goes, "Get the hell out of here!" And they turned and they ran. One of the funniest things in the world. So let me do this. If for some reason you are enjoying this and you don't know what to say, do like a Johnny Ballgame and just write something. Type, for example, umbilical mucus and Dick Butkus. What? So somebody will tune in and say, did you see this Uncle Lenny's thing? Who are these people? What do they say? I love non sequiturs. Remember the old joke, no soap radio? That's it. One of my oldest friends I met in college almost 50 years ago. We are still the greatest of friends. We were in a class. It might have been something like organic chemistry, or I don't know what it was, but they were talking about the graphs of something, and there was no slope. It was a line or whatever. There was no slope. And he says, or I said, or one of us said, no slope. I said, no slope radio. And he got it. And nobody else did, because the joke was, it wasn't funny. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So if you don't know what to write, please join us, but just write anything you want. Go and copy and paste any kind of, let's say, medication on rectal leakage. Put a sentence on there. In fact, do it to other people as well. Don't do it just to me. Don't do it. Then the next time there's a real serious debate about, I don't know, whatever. Do like I do sometimes. You just copy and paste warnings about dangerous flatulence as a side effect from certain medication, and just post that. See if anybody cares. Crypto Domini says, pee-pees and shoo-shoos, grandma used to say. Pee-pees and shoo-shoos. You know what's funny? You say shoo-shoos. In my home, shoo-shoo was the name of air freshener. Bathroom sprays was called shoo-shoo. For some reason, to this day, that's what we call it here. A parent called it. My grandmother referred to braziers as Brazils. Again, we still say that. Evan Webb says Raw 23 is the glitch in the Matrix. There you go. See, I'm liking that. That's it. There you go. That's it. Now we're talking about something. Now we're getting something. Because remember, I want you to join us every single day and enjoy even if you have nothing to say, just say something. Call it pulling a Johnny Ball game. Just say something. It doesn't really matter. Hey, remember the joke? That's what she said. One of those funny jokes. One of my favorite response to things are wear a long coat and nobody will notice. What? When somebody says, what's your name? And if they have a foreign name, say, don't be so hard on yourself. What? I love that. To this day, when I ask somebody what their name is, they'll say, what's your name? I said, the guy will say, a woman, Maxine. No, seriously. And they'll say, no, Maxine. I crack myself up. Okay, moving along. They're talking about right now in the state of California, giving $150,000 to illegals. And the people of California are idiots by sitting back and doing nothing. How do we do this? Johnny Ballgame, let me ask you something. Seriously, Johnny, how is this allowed in California? Serious question. How do people in California say, wait a minute, what? Who is it who said, no, I will not be laughed at. I will have a constituency behind this. How is this allowed? I ask you, dear friends, in the name of God, I ask you, how is this important? How is this allowed? How does this even happen? How? In California and elsewhere, there are people called Tren de Aragua. These are these Venezuelan criminal cartels, the likes of which you have not seen. You have not believed. You cannot believe what we're seeing. Do you understand this? They're coming out of nowhere. Here's something, my friends, you don't particularly care about. Johnny Ballgame does. Johnny's got something to say. Now listen to this. In New York City, they're planning to spray pesticides to help prevent the spread of mosquitoes and potential diseases. The announcement comes days after Dr. Anthony Fauci, that son of a... after he apparently was hospitalized with West Nile virus. Well, do other people get West Nile virus? Why are we acting because he got it? Fauci spent around a week in the hospital after developing fever, chills, and severe fatigue. He believes he contracted a West Nile in the backyard of his Washington, D.C. home and expected to make a full recovery. So now we're going to be spraying. Do you trust the government to spray things? Do you want things sprayed? Kids, stop, time out. Do you remember when you were a kid in the 60s? I would see these lights, the mosquito truck. People would play behind the mosquito truck. Do you know this one? Look at this. Hang on. Johnny's losing the caps. Something's up here. In the light. Johnny's losing the caps. Kept the ellipses, losing the lights. Do you remember being behind these things? Seeing this? It was just this. So now we're getting you right. Third world diseases. You're absolutely right. Look at this. Sailor Dew says third world. What could go wrong? Then you've got our good friend, your buddy, you love him to death, Bill Gates, who wants to release mutant, sterile mosquitoes. Did you ever sterilize a mosquito? Did you ever cut the balls off of a mosquito? And I'm telling you, you're going to sit there, hang on a minute. Missed it. All right, sorry about that. Give me another one. There we go. I think I castrate. Well, it's the same thing. Well, whatever. That's tough. That is tough. Anybody ever smell mothballs? Yeah, who held the wings? Remember that joke? Okay. Now, aside from that, Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. It's fun to say, but it's a horrible, horrible, horrible disease. Okay. Here's something for you. Listen to this. Ladies, you will love this. You will love this. There is a report. Hang on a minute, maybe later. This is something that says young Catholic women are bringing back veils. Do you hear this? Veils. I definitely don't feel like the odd woman out anymore. Nicole Moore, 30 years old, wears a veil to church every Sunday, sometimes called a mantilla. My grandmother, my mother, when we had First Communion, had the veil. Sometimes women will put like a piece of toilet paper or tissue or something, not toilet paper. The sheer head coverings are usually made of lace or silk. Nicole's is gray with a flower-like pattern, worn by women throughout the Catholic Church's history. Chapel veils fell out of favor during the late 20th century. But in recent years, there's been an explosion of veiling, says Nicole Moore, who attends St. Vincent Ferrer. Maybe it's Mel Ferrer, Jose Ferrer, I don't know. St. Vincent Ferrer Catholic Church in Manhattan. Her pastor, Father Peter Martyr Youngworth, tells the Free Press he has also noticed an increase in veiling over the last 2 decades. Indeed, Veils by Lily, a website that sells mantillas, has gone from filling 30 to 60 orders per month to an average of 900 in the last 10 years. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that wonderful? An increase of women, especially young adult women, wearing veils. And they say that he interprets the veil trend as an attempt to be maximally reverent to God at Mass and in receiving Holy Communion. I think it is wonderful. Wait a minute. Ballgang just has a pun. The Paranomasiac, prevail. Got it? And we're not talking Colorado. A return of modesty, yes. It's what I think it is any time you return to tradition, Anytime you show a reverence, I, in Manhattan, will see countless men, sometimes with their carts, food carts, uh, uh, paying homage or doing their prayers. They're Muslims. I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. Anytime you acknowledge that you are just an insignificant piece of lint in the sea of the universe, it's wonderful. And when I see people who all of a sudden really get into, and I'm not going to say anything about like, who was it? All of a sudden, Candace Owens is Catholic. All right, free enough, fair enough. I'm not going to sit there. But there was something years ago where the profession really had the procession. There were rules and meet on Friday and the bells, and they would do this and mea culpa, all this stuff. And say, do you remember, kids? I loved it in retrospect. I didn't believe it. I don't believe in the nation, but I love the ceremony. Do you remember Ash Wednesday? Ash Wednesday, we were the only ones who did it. And they had this little tiny thing. Now they walk around with these big, like, bullet holes, like you've been hit by like a Barrett 50 cal. You're walking around and think, what is this? It was garish the way we do it now. Remember St. Blaise? Remember that the crossing of the candles to protect your throat. The saints. I'm telling you, there was something about this. And the older I get, when you find yourself, if you want to understand what an organization is, you must give up your sense of entitlement and give it up to the organization. The Marines have uniforms. The Army has uniforms and rank and tradition and 21 gun salute and symbols and saluting and everything. There is a desperate return to the solemnity of tradition and practice. And I would make sure kids understood exactly, this is the way you do it. This is it. And it makes you can't understand something if you say, hey, I'm in this thing. Show up whenever you want, think whatever you want, sit where you want, do what you want. I can't believe going into mass or going into last time when our friend, the priest, died, we went to his funeral mass. I wear a tie and a jacket, and I can't go. First of all, it's a funeral, and people are walking around like, don't get me started with that. Don't get me started with that. There's something to be said for that. And we're going back, and we need this. And I'm telling you, people and kids and others love this. And what they also have, they're talking about re-implementing uniforms in schools, public schools here, which I wholeheartedly endorse. So let me say something to you now. I want you to listen to me. Tradition and superstition and things that you do that don't have a reason are one thing. But sometimes the procedure and the practice, it creates something. The same goes for marriage. There has to be a ceremony of some sort. You just don't say, okay, that's it. Even getting a driver's license, there's a ceremony. Crypto Domini says St. Vincent Ferrer was the bomb. His friends cooked his goldfish and lamb, and he brought them back out of thin air. Okay, could be. Far be it from me. Evan Webb says, I remember my mom wearing a head cover at St. Patrick's. I still miss Latin Mass. Oh, I loved it. We had, I love the whole notion of, we spoke classical Latin. This was This is a Jesuit high school. Quousque tandem abutere Catalina patientia nostra. The Catalinic orations. It was great. With the conjugations. And we spoke classical. We didn't say veni, vidi, vici. We goes winnie, witty, wiki. Wagina. We had to translate. We had eros. And I did vagina dentata. Did you know what vagina dentata was? Vagina dentata. Well, but it's a rare it's a rare. Put it this way: vagina dentata mean tooth vagina is a folk tale tradition in which a woman's vagina is said to contain teeth to be dentate, with the associated implication that intercourse might result in injury, emasculation, and such and such. In fact, this is a very popular story. Hinduism, I remember Maori, Western Asia, psychology, but I was given Vagina Dentata to translate. It was great. It was fascinating. And we loved it. We would talk to each other in Latin. We loved it. It was tradition. I'm telling you. Everything that I thought was stupid at the time, I'm realizing now, you know what? There was a lot to that. So, my friends, as we've just passed the hour mark, President Trump is doing better than anybody could ever imagine. I don't want you, dear friends, especially you, Jimmy Ballgame, I don't want you to lose sight of what's happening. I don't want you to miss, or that's Johnny Ballgame, rather. I don't want you to lose. And sure, look at this, professor. I meant master. I don't know what he's saying, but does it matter? Does it matter? The man could be a genius. One day we could say, you know what? He makes a lot of sense. Not to many. But the old SCTV, sure, he's crazy. But what if he's right? Anyway, sit tight. Do not become enthralled. Do not become waylaid by the usual nonsense. So what if they have this thing with, what am I trying to say? This craziness, this idea, this thing that involves this interview with Kamala. So what? We don't care about that. We don't care about that. It doesn't matter. She's going to be sitting just like George Bush did with Cheney. Remember that? With Cheney during the 9/11? Remember 9/11 hearing? They said he wouldn't speak unless Cheney was there. Come on, man. October the 26th. The Cutting Room, New York City. You and me and a dog named Boo. Me and you and a dog named Boo. Traveling and living off the land. It's going to be incredible, my friends. 10 days before the election. Will we make it? What kind of a shape will we be in? I don't know. So, my dear friends, I say to you, thank you. Thank you not for what you are, but for what you appear to be. Thank you for how you act. Thank you for your graciousness and your glory and your beauteousness. Thank you. And Johnny Ballgame, this goes to you, my friend, today. You were exquisite today. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but that doesn't matter. Sure, you're demented. Sure, you're off the rails. Sure, you're non sequitur. Sure, this is I don't even know what you want to call it. It's logolalia, it's logoria, it's disjointed, but I love it. There's something to be said for that, and I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for that. Evan Webb, thank you. What an Evan Webb we weave when we practice to deceive. Crypto Domini, thank you so much. You are the best. Mayo, Memi, I'm trying to give it a Latin thing. Mio Dell, thank you. Brad Rung, everybody. Rung the bell. Raul Rodriguez, Crypto Domini again. Alice Fava, we thank you. Too Legit, Brad Rung, and thank you. Keep watching the great. By the way, Evan says, I really want Trump to win. I talk too much, and my Catholic name is Francis. Love you, Uncle Lenny. Oh, love you as well, my friend. Well, my name is, Michael, the Archangel. Look at this. Howie Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. Gifted 5 Lionel Nation memberships. God doggone it. Thank you, Howie. Howie, you're a beaut. You're a mensch and a half. You're tremendous. You are without peer. Seriously. You're out of control. And I thank you for that. All right, dear friends. We will see you tonight. By the way, I've got some stuff coming, so make sure you stay. What am I going to say? Subscribe to Lionel Nation. Make sure Lionel Nation. Lionel Nation. Lionel Nation. Make sure you do that. Lionel Nation. Make sure. Logomachy. I like that. Is an argument about words. Very, very good. Beautiful. Beautiful. The theory of logomachy or logomachy. Student. Anyway, I'm getting off. And logomacy. Must see TV. What am I saying? I don't know. I've been hanging around Johnny Ballgame too long. All right, dear friends. Don't forget Lionel Nation. Follow Lynn's Warriors as well, my beloveds, on YouTube. All right, dear friends. See you later. Have a great and a glorious day. And by the way, Enoch, the most powerful angel human, Johnny Ballgame, a madman, a maniac, and he dances like he's never danced before. And I mean that sincerely. All right, dear friends. See you later. Have a great and glorious day. And don't forget, there's a monkey's